The three blind mice, Lee, George, and Paul, have invited everyone to participate in this month's 66 Hot Wheels Nova Invitational. There's the car I started out with. I actually like the looks of this car, but then I always kind of like a gray colored car. I'd actually probably like it a little better if it was flat gray, oddly enough. But anyhow, I like the looks of it. Don't like the wheels. Wheels have to go. But here's where we started. And this, when I do a lot of these builds, I chop something off or I glue things together. Or, I'm always doing something odd to a lot of these builds. And this one, I don't even bust out the JB Weld on this one. And thinking about it, I don't even think I use the super glue in this one. I kept it pretty stock, but I found a picture online of the car I wanted to make this look like, and I give it my best attempt. And it's obviously far from perfect because this is a 1/64th scale of that one. But I did my best, and I'm pretty happy with the results. So go through the usual, drilling it, taking it apart. And there I'm just cleaning up the posts a little bit so it goes back together more easily. Now, this casting, there was on this one, I don't know if they're all this way, if it's just a problem in like the mold or however they make it, or if it was just something specific to this casting. But that area right there gave me a lot of problems. The driver's side rear quarter panel, it looked like it had been in a wreck before and somebody had bondoed it over. So I tried to get that spot as smooth as I could. And, I worked on a lot of the other casting lines on this particular car. But I have to work on my skills on cleaning these things up. And something I learned on this one that stupidly I hadn't thought about is I kind of filed off maybe slightly too much. And I only noticed it later when I go to do part of the paint on this. It really caught my eye. And I really wasn't able to get rid of that flaw completely either. It's right there, that top area where that pillar comes down into the body. It was just poorly done. So, I cleaned it up as best I could. And, sand. There's one of those. That's a little sanding stick. And I picked up a bunch of these off, I think it was Amazon. And they come in a lot of different grits. And they were just in variety packs. And, I think there's probably 30 of them or so per pack. But they worked out pretty well on this because there's a body line that goes down the center side of the car. And that lets you really do a nice straight line with that stick because obviously the stick's straight. But I wet sanded a lot of the body trying to get it to be the way I wanted it to be. I do end up using the metal cast base paint, the metallic base coat, which I'm sure none of you are shocked that I'm using metal cast paint on this. I do something a little different with it, but there it is. And the car looks pretty good. I mean, I like the design of the car. I like the Nova. I sure wouldn't mind having one now. I sure as heck wouldn't have minded having one when I was a kid. But no such luck. But there I use that Scotch-Brite pad on it too. So then it crossed my mind, oh crap, I got to drill this out. I didn't want to wait until after paint because, by then I surely would screw it up. So I always try and remember to do it early. And usually I remember because I like using the screws. After I tap them, I put screws in there so the holes don't get plugged up and stuff when I go to paint it. And I like leaving the screws out a tiny bit. And then when I use the helping hands, I grab the screws, which It seems to give a little better bite than just trying to grab the post itself. So there you see it after the metal cast base coat. And just kind of checking out the body lines and stuff. I put tape on there, and I put the Tamiya masking tape because what I'm trying to do, well, there you see the picture I was working from. And that Nova back there basically has a curved line from the tail of the car towards the door seam, and then it's pretty straight from there on out. So I did the top half black, and that's actually hand-painted Citadel black paint. And I've done this before, but I've always done it along a body seam line where I didn't have that luxury on this one. So here I used the metal cast, that gold paint. And I don't show myself spraying it because obviously it's rattle can. I'm outside doing this. It's tough enough to film some of this as it is, as opposed to trying to do that. But hey, while we have that on the screen, that's what I stole the wheels off of. The truck up above, I just like the wheels on that. It has real riders, so I rip them off of there. Those are the wheels we end up with. The size was virtually identical, and they basically dropped right into that base. It is a plastic base. Excuse me. Now, I tried this once before. This was something I saw on 164 Revival's channel. Jeff had a heavier, basically that protecting stuff, that liquid mask. He had a heavier kind. And when I tried this is Vallejo's liquid mask that I happen to have on hand. And when I tried it the other time, it didn't work that well. I mean, it worked, but not perfectly. This time, what I did is I just put it heavier, and even after it's set up a little bit, I very carefully, and you have to do it carefully when you go to add to it, because it wants to grab the tip of the bottle. And so I just put it on extra heavy, and then I throw this thing into super clean, and it takes off everything that isn't protected by that liquid mask. Something else I learned that I should have known was you really have to let that liquid mask dry well before you go to do it. So, love me some Sharpie pins, those Sharpie paint pins. Those I use a lot for small details. It's a lot easier for me than trying to use a brush. I thought about changing the exhaust on this to go straight out the back, and I decided against it. I went with just what they had already made into the base. And there you can see how the front and back bumpers, the chrome is protected by that liquid mask. The black that you see there isn't painted. That's the stripped away chrome. That's the natural color of the base. Now the interior I did not do a lot with. There was a lot of flashing inside, and it's it's not hard plastic. This is kind of a rubbery substance, this interior. If it was hard plastic, that flashing would have come out really easily. Unfortunately, it's kind of rubberized, and as you cut it, you just start making things worse, and it's a slippery slope, and you're rolling downhill really fast. So, and you're seeing this in the way I did it. I was jumping around all over the place. One thing I like about this paint scheme is, like you see it here from this angle, it looks like the car's black. And there I'm using the Sharpie pen to do the taillights. But it looks black. You have no idea that there's actually gold on the sides of that car. Went to some reference material again on the phone. Thank God for Google. And wanted to make sure I did the taillights and the headlights and the grill area and the indicator lights right. I used Nuln Oil to darken the grill and to darken the holes in the bumper. And so that I really enjoy using Nuln Oil to do this because it works very well. Sometimes you have to layer it a few times to really get the darkness that you want. And for whatever reason, it was fighting me a little bit as far as where it was flowing. there were some areas in the grill that weren't formed as well as other areas, and I apologize for. There we go. I bring it back into the screenshot there. But it was drifting like it wanted to go back down towards the bumper instead of the grill, and I end up spending a lot of time just like pulling that wash back across the grill. But that Nuln Oil is also from Citadel. And fortunately, I haven't knocked that bottle over yet. Lord knows I always have it just close enough where it could happen. And it's a taller bottle, so it's almost like it's asking to be knocked over. Back to the paint. Oh, before I go back to the paint, here's all I did on the interior. I painted the shift knob gold or silver, excuse me, and then I painted the stripes down the seats. Just for a little detailing. Yes, red, because I like red in the interior. Busted out the gauzy. And even though the windshield's new, I dunked it just to make it nice and shiny. Back to the paint, though. I spray that metal cast gold right over the black, and it's a metallic gold. And so what you end up with on the areas where it was just the silver base coat, you get gold. You get a metal flake gold. But where I had painted the black, interestingly enough, it really evens out the paint job, the hand painting, even though I did it exceptionally thin. And that's one of the reasons I hand painted it, which may be stupid. But I was thinking if I tried to spray coat a black coat and then spray coat the gold over it, I was going to end up with a really thick paint job. And I didn't want that. Excuse me. It's allergy season. But what's great about it is, and unfortunately you can't really see it in the pictures at the end of the video, but you can see it in direct sunlight. The gold that's over the black, you see gold flakes in the black now, above the black. And it just turned out really, I like the way the black looks with that gold over it. I've done that with the red metal cast before as well, and I like the effect. This is just the Tamiya clear red that I like using for taillights. And just the top half of the taillights were red on the Novas. And the bottom half was apparently the backup lights. And that Tamiya clear red, that bottle's probably going to last a lifetime. So there you kind of see the results. And I wish that the lines on the side of the car definitely could be a lot better. It's one of those learning experience things and practice kind of things. And it might have turned out better if I had sprayed it as opposed to hand painting it, but it seemed like the right way to go at the time. And I am happy with the results. So, man, that glass is shiny. Thank goodness gauzy exists. So it goes together really easily. And like I said before, the tires I had popped out, a plastic base, like I had mentioned. And so I had popped out the other tires, left enough of the little tabs so that these pop right in. And they just basically pop into the same spots. That couldn't have worked out any easier. That's like 2 builds in a row now where my tire choices, size-wise, have matched really well with the size of the car itself. I haven't had to use tubes or do anything dramatic to get them to fit. So it's time to throw the screws in this thing and wrap it up. I'd like to take this time to thank Lee, George, and Paul, the 3 blind mice, and I'll put a link down below to the channel, and you can check out all the other builds. Please check out their builds and all the other builders that are participating in this. These are a lot of fun, and the 3 mice really give the rest of us with smaller channels a chance to get exposure we can't get otherwise. And I really do appreciate that. And the rest of us are really fortunate that they take us in and make us part of the fun. It's really appreciated. So there's where we started. Here's where I ended up. I have to figure out lighting a little better. The LED lights are pretty harsh on this thing. But I'm happy with the detail I put onto it. I really like the wheels. You know, they're pretty straightforward. Here's some glamour shots. I like that you can see the red stripes in the seats. It's just a little added touch that I really like. It's maybe goofy as hell, but I don't know. It's a kick in the pants for me. Thank you all for watching. To my subscribers, thank you very much for subscribing. Thanks to the Tree Blind Mice. Catch y'all in the next one. Stay safe and healthy out there, everyone.